with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you. Recognitions.
All right, so it's good to be at the high school, and thank you everybody for joining us. So I'm going to kick this off to Ms. Seidel, the principal of Simsbury High School, who's going to introduce some kids that have really reached a very impressive academic milestone that we wanted to recognize this morning, this afternoon, tonight, wherever we are. Thanks, Mag.
Good evening. I am very excited to stand here before you today to celebrate some of our students who have really reached an incredible academic milestone. So many of you know that there's the AP testing. These students are going to be receiving our AP Capstone diploma. And what that means is that they have scored a 3 or higher on their AP seminar course and the assessment, their AP research, and 4 additional AP courses as well. And what you need to know about AP SEM and AP research is they are different courses. They're not the traditional sit down and take the assessment, which in and of itself is extremely challenging. These courses require group work. They require you to present. They require essays. That's a very rigorous skill set of not just a sit and test in terms of what they're expected to do. So again, cannot believe, as I stand here before you, we actually had 9 students. Some of them have graduated and gone on. So these are our seniors this year that have reached this incredible milestone. So 6 AP tests that they have really scored and achieved very high levels. This will also be reflected on their transcript. So it's an incredible achievement. So I wanted to say congratulations. I'll have you come around this way. To Logan Peterson. Absolutely, please do. I also wanted to say congratulations to Julia Agrawal. Congratulations to Momin Ali.
Exactly. Suited up. I like that.
Congratulations to Surya Patel. And also congratulations to Eleanor Gould. What's that? Absolutely.
Accepting on her behalf.
You get congratulations. And again, just wanted to tell you how proud we are of your accomplishments. Many of you, I think all of you, I know, are in multiple APs again this year. So you continue to keep that rigor and, working hard. And we are super proud of you and hope you know that you've got a lot of support and a lot of pride behind you. So congratulations.
Should we get a Folger picture
Yeah,
with
that'd be
everybody?
great.
Yeah.
Let's do that. That would be great. Principal Seidel.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You can come forward with your.
Chairman Tyndall? All right, I'll come back here so people don't get back of my head in the figures afterwards. Hi, here we go. Should we have you say AP diploma?
Thank you.
No shakers, I guess.
Have a good night. You do not have to stay for the whole meeting.
That's great.
What a great achievement, my gosh. Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Very.
Coat off in a couple of minutes.
Great.
So obviously moving on to, well, to the public audience. No public audience, okay.
Oh, hold on, we have something.
Oh, sorry. You want to go where?
Right there. Right there.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jane Spatcher McAlpine. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
I am a longtime Simsbury resident. It's been a few years since my kids went through these halls. But I'm here tonight for two reasons. One, to re-extend in person an invitation to our board members to the Simsbury Historical Society Volunteer Appreciation Picnic. I'm the recently appointed executive director, and our association, the schools, I mean, our whole town really is supported so well by volunteers, so I want to extend that invitation to you. It's merely fun, you know, you can talk about sports, hiking, whatever you want. There will be some food from 12 to 2, and it's very informal, just a time to meet our volunteers and some of our board members. The second reason I'm here, and this is really directed to your curriculum committee, also related to the Simsbury Historical Society, is that, as you know, our organization does Colonial Day every year for fifth graders. It's very well received. Right now, we are currently actively reviewing and enhancing our Native American Studies programs. We have a large network throughout the state of Connecticut with other historical societies as well as other organizations. And I want to make sure that we work closely together so that we can also structure programs to look at that new subject of the curriculum. We have on site a wigwam, we have a lean-to with a dugout canoe, we have many artifacts that have been collected throughout the Farmington Valley and Simsbury in particular. So I'm just putting that out there, and I will make sure I connect with your curriculum committee if there are any programs that we can structure to make sure that they fit the student body needs.
Terrific.
Excellent. Thank you for coming out.
It's great.
Moving on to committee reports. Let's start with Rafaela.
Hi, I'm Rafaela. Ms. Seidel introduced me over the summer, so it's been
Welcome.
a while. So I'm the other student rep. So overall, with the elementary schools, mostly they have their upcoming open houses this Thursday. So I noted that Latimer, Henry James, and Central School have that coming up. With Latimer, they noted that they had their new teacher evaluation program last week for professional development. And there was some field trips with Henry James. Tooten Hills had a picnic. And Terrafil was focusing on getting their activities going. From the high school, we have our Spirit Week this week, leading up to the homecoming game on Friday. And we have the homecoming dance on Saturday. We have PSAT testing coming up for grades under seniors on October 9th. We also have the One Act play on the 19th. And I saw personally in school the Encouraging Words campaign. Like, I saw the bulletin board, and I know throughout the elementary schools, some of them have noted that they talk about them on the announcements, and they make an effort to keep that going. So I do see that the Encouraging Words campaign has an effect on our students.
Great.
Thank you.
It was good to get that feedback, so appreciate that. Josh?
Yeah, a couple updates on committees. First, the communication committee, we're going to meet on October 4th, so we'll have an update at the next meeting for that. And then for the policy committee, we met this afternoon at noon via Zoom call. Lydia, Jessica, and I were on there with Neil. Going over, basically it was a focus on Title IX and kind of what's going to be the plan for policy committee throughout the year. So just kind of like an update for the group there. We looked at the 4,000 and 5,000 series, 4,000 being personnel, 5,000 being students. With that focus on Title IX and more specifically what it meant for sexual discrimination, including sexual harassment. Where we landed there, and it'll come before the committee, and Dale can fill in anything I mess up over here. But what we'll do is we'll vote on it as a committee, but we reviewed it in Shipman Goodwin, right? They put out, based on the new regulations that came out in August, what their take on it was and sent it to all the districts. So Neil went over that with us, and kind of as a group, we looked at it from the perspective of, Jessica had asked, have any other districts altered their language? According to Neil, no one has yet. And then Lydia pointed out that Cave had reviewed as well, kind of what's going on there. And then kind of the thing I was looking there for was what parents represented it, and they are. So upon kind of covering those bases of what others are doing, what the experts are telling us, kind of the legalese of it all, we kind of left it as was drafted by Shipman Goodwin. Kind of felt like it made the most sense. They put in the time, the effort, the research into it. Again, we'll all have the chance to review it, but what was in there looked like it was the way it would be from the experts. So, good meeting. Laid out the game plan that will be tackling the 4,000 series personnel. We'll take it in chunks of about 30 pages or so. There's about 120, so Neil's not giving us too much at one time. Appreciate that. Yeah, so we'll do that. We're going to meet. Plan is to meet monthly via Zoom on those 12 o'clock time frames. Kind of do them little by little. We'll also be looking at, in the spring, I believe, the bullying policy, and then we're going to take a look at the class size policy, even though it's in the 5,000 series, we'll take a look at it. So it was a good meeting, kind of gave us the lay of the land for the year ahead, and kind of tackled the more pressing item of Title IX, which will be seeing soon. So that's the policy committee update, and certainly a good adjustment.
I think it's great you're taking it in chunks, series at a time, It's good.
No corrections necessary.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Jet?
No, that was an excellent summary. I have nothing to add.
Nothing right now, nope. All set.
Jen?
I only have two, and I'm going to totally ask Sue to correct me because I'm sure I'm going to be wrong. Tara is not here today, and so she asked, as the chair of the curriculum committee, to let you guys know that we did meet on the 17th of September. And we went over the vision of the graduate, and she said to let you guys know that that everyone is working currently on aligning the VOG with our curriculum. Each discipline in grades 9 through 12 will align with one of the 6 competencies, and you are continuing to work on unifying language and the best practices. So for now, there won't be anything for this year, at least, for assessing or
As far as public reporting, no.
Public reporting, perfect. There won't be any for this year.
But we anticipate that
Future.
to start again, not this school year, but next school year.
Okay. And then she said that the curriculum review process is going on due to Sue's great planning this year. It is PE and wellness, math, and library media. And more to come on that as the review continues in the spring. And to remind everybody that on the school website, there is a link to the curriculum, and that is there for anybody to access at any time. And that is all I have.
I would just add real quick, coming out of a couple of these meetings, there was a request made that we make the minutes, we do post the minutes, but we make the minutes available in the folders at a subsequent meeting. So the minutes from your curriculum meeting
Are in
the folders. So we'll do that on a regular basis, just so you have the latest.
Great.
Lydia?
Got that. Yes. We started off the year at Craig Council with our first meeting of the year with new board members around the table from the 35 districts that represent Craig. So I'll just give you.
Fine, go ahead.
Oh, okay, sorry.
No, not sure.
Okay, testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so a little back knowledge for this year. The Craig schools have 9,000 students. It's in all the Craig schools and the programs that, and other services that Craig provides. And the big issue with the Craig now today, as I've been mentioning, is obviously the magnet school funding. And that's going to be a big issue coming down the pike as we go into the next legislature, because they're big concerns for local districts. So we really need to stay on top of this, and we really need to advocate and, be there to tell our legislators that they really do have to keep funding the magnet school funding, or it's going to be incumbent upon districts to pay the extra amount. So with that being said, also, we are going to be advocating for the cap on the tuition and the cap on the sped excess costs, and also the mandate relief, just as I mentioned before, no more mandates. The excess cost funding, as I said, the increase may remain. And also, the other one is the barriers to teacher certification. And I'd mentioned to you before about teacher residency within the state. And we lost $1.5 million last year. So that was a big hit for that program. So we're going to be back there again to advocate. So we're off to a good year, a good start. Transportation went well. They transport 14,000 students every single day across the correct schools. And they have 900 routes. So it's a big area, a big service, and it's so far has been going very, very well. We haven't had any issues starting off the year. So that's where we are with CREC.
Looks like it's going smoothly.
Let's hope.
And
Oh, good. I'm all set. Thanks.
Steve?
I'm good.
Excellent. Amy?
All set, thanks.
All set for tonight?
Sue?
Rafaela mentioned a little bit of this at Latimer, but actually the last early release day, last Wednesday, all of our teachers were introduced to our new teacher evaluation platform model plan and had the opportunities to work collaboratively or individually and really develop their goals for the year. And we're excited to see what's coming of that, this intersection of teacher passion and need that we have for making experiences better for students. So I know Maggie's going to touch upon that in her report, but it was great use of time and looking forward to the results.
Great. And just real briefly, since Rafaela mentioned, the superintendent and I did receive an email from a resident about just supporting the Encouraging Words campaign. Thought it was an excellent exercise that we're all going through. Happy to share. I just didn't want to necessarily read it, and I mean I can, but didn't. It's a little bit longer.
I was going to include it in the Friday update.
You could
so
certainly
everybody
share it
Yeah,
for everybody.
very nice.
Just wanted to point it out. So, with that, we can move on to. I'm sorry.
No, I think I'm good. I mean, Lydia, you mentioned a little bit on that excess cost focus. I was at a superintendent luncheon where the Commissioner of Education was. I was pleased to hear her early agenda really aligning with some of the challenges we've seen with funding in special education, in particular, excess cost. They really talked for the first time about what we have articulated, that outplacement costs on some of these privatized schools have escalated significantly without any controls in place. So they're also talking about incentives potentially for districts to develop in-house programs. So I feel like we are talking about the right things, and they're aligned with what the Commissioner's talking about. So hopefully we can see some traction, particularly on the excess cost. It was underfunded in the budget by $289 million last year, so those dollars will be in the budget presented by the Board of Education, State Board of Education, but we'll have to see how that develops over time. But it's rare that we're aligned this early, so I was encouraged by that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We could really be on the forefront of that innovation, so it's great. Now we can go to recommended actions. I'm sorry. So in your packet, obviously, we need an approval of the minutes of our September 10th meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Brian. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Motion passes. Personnel.
Just one item tonight, a notice of intent to retire, and I will speak about my friend Brian Foreman, who is sort of a linchpin of the Henry James faculty, and came to see me on the first day of school to, didn't know what it was going to be about, and I'll tell you a little bit more about his reasoning, but Brian has been with us for 27 years right now. Started as a social studies teacher at Henry James, but most of his career has been as a tech ed teacher, which puts him in touch with hundreds of students a year at Henry James as they rotate through. Brian has also been softball coach here at Simsbury High School. He has been the yearbook advisor at Henry James. He's part of the negotiating committee for the teachers union. He's advised the sea perch competition that our Henry James Middle School students participate in. And his newest role is grandfather. And so he came to see me to tell me that his intent, after one more year of teaching, is he fully admits that his granddaughter has him wrapped around her finger. So he's going to be the full-time caregiver during the day for his granddaughter. So that's what he said. That's what I want to do.
Yep.
So I'm going to give you one more year, and he said I'm going to give you 110%. So thanks to Brian, the action is there in an motion for a retirement effective June 30th of 2025.
Okay, I will do it. It moved that the Board of Education accept the notice of intent to retire of Brian Foreman effective June 30th, 2025. And he has been an amazing teacher. More than one of my children have had him, and that will be a big miss, I'm sure. But happy for him.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? I would just say I worked with Brian, as Neil alluded to, in the negotiations, and he represented the teachers very well, but he was always very good to talk to, willing to,
Great partner.
Yeah, great. Thank you. That's probably the best way to say it. Great partner in those very conversations that can get tense, obviously. So really appreciate all his help. But we have one more year. Okay, so,
One more year.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Motion passed. Approval of the policy revision.
Yeah, and this is just the pushing across the finish line. We've had 2 readings of a bylaw revision that has to do with forming a new standing committee of the board, which is a finance committee. We started this last spring. We had a second reading 2 weeks ago, so this would be the final vote to accept this change to the bylaws and be able to start that committee.
I'll move to adopt the revised bylaw number 304, standing committees effective September 24, 2024.
Second?
Any discussion? I really think this is going to help our budget, or just the whole conversation, so I'm really excited about this. Probably irrationally excited about it. But, anyways, is there any discussion? I'm sorry, we did that. I discussed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, ayes have it. For some reason, I'm a little rusty tonight. I don't know why. It's off my game. Year-end financial results.
Yes, so we are going to close out fiscal year '24 since we have already moved on to fiscal year '25. The first page of the report has all of the revenues of the state federal grants. There have been no changes since the last time I reported out. So I'm going to start on the second page of the expenditures where we can see our bottom line, how we did overall. So towards the bottom of the page, the end of the chart, our $82 million budget, and we ended the year at $81,627,983. This is a surplus of $554,154. So we had various ups and downs with the final results. We had some deficit areas that we had previously talked about. So we had talked you through special ed transportation previously, our out-of-district tuitions. There's a new one for food services, which I'll take you through. And then there's some areas of surplus as well that were able to offset those deficits. So starting 1, 2, 3, the fourth line item down, you'll see the pupil transportation. We ended fiscal year 24 at $3.5 million, and this was a deficit to the budget of $526,000. So again, something that we've mentioned previously at prior board meetings where we did see an uptick in cost related to special education transportation. Moving down to the food services line item, you'll see that there is $86,000 posted there as an expenditure. Our budget was only $8,800, which is a deficit of $77,000. So this is something new that has come to light. We were audited as part of our nutrition services program this year. So the state of Connecticut came in, audited our program with oversight from the federal USDA. Part of that audit is not only auditing the program, but those involved with the program. So our current food services director, who is amazing, unfortunately does not have the education qualifications in accordance with the state of Connecticut. She meets the federal standards, but she does not meet the state standards. Neil has graciously gone back and forth to try to get this requirement waived. They will not waive it. She has graciously agreed to go back to school, but until she has those education credits, they will not allow us to charge her salary to the Nutrition Services Fund. So that was unexpected increase to the general fund of her salary.
It's just moving dollars.
Yeah. And then moving down to the out-of-district line item, you'll see that we ended the year about $2.5 million. This was a deficit of almost $600,000. Again, nothing new from what was previously reported. We had seen a large increase in the number and rates of our out-of-district tuitions that we were paying. So all of that should be pretty familiar with the exception of the food services. Now onto some surplus areas which offset our deficit. We had some salary savings, mainly through those first two line items, the general control and the instruction line items. We had some utility savings for gas and electric, and that can be seen under the operation of plant line item. So it ended the year under budget by about $135,000. Good news on the electric side, unfortunately, we all have seen in the news the electric rates going up, so we probably won't have that news this year. So we'll just enjoy it for last year. Under the maintenance of plant and equipment, you can see we had a surplus just shy of $130,000. This was related to the spending freeze that we put in place. And then on the equipment line item as well, that was related to the spending freeze, and that had a surplus of about $243,000. The line item that had a large surplus at the end of the year was our insurance and pension line item. So if you take a look at that, it's about $1.1 million. That was below budget. So this came in significantly under budget due to employee changes in medical and dental insurance. So the district had netted out dropped coverage for terminations, retirements, things of that nature of over $1 million. People that came on to replace those individuals picked the lower coverages, so we only added on to the books about $600,000. And then in addition to that, there were changes for decreases in coverage, which outweighed the increases in coverage for employees during the year. And then last but not least, Matthew had reminded me that we had built in a cliff into this line item for the prior year when we were going to use the health insurance fund, and clearly did not need that cliff. So that line item was the clear savior for our surplus this year, giving you your $550,000 surplus.
That's great, and that may be the first Matthew of the year, right? I think.
Yeah, that's the first one. So now what to do with that money? The superintendent is recommending we transfer it into the non-lapsing fund of $551,000. We have a couple, about just shy of $3,000 in encumbrances outstanding that we do have to keep in the general fund to pay out later. So shy of that $3,000, your transfer into the non-lapsing fund would be $551,160.
And I would just say that a recent legislative change allows us to do this just as a Board of Ed. The prior way the legislation was structured is the Board of Ed would have to approve it, Board of Finance would have to approve it. And the Board of Ed, if they wanted to expend those dollars either on a deficit or on a project or on whatever it may be based on our conversation, would have to approve the use of those funds, and the Board of Finance would have to approve the use of those funds. Now we have the flexibility to kind of manage that ourselves as a Board of Education.
Yeah, and I just wanted to point out, just really emphasize something that Amy said and that we've been talking about for the last couple of years actually about this. If you look at those numbers, the ones that came in over budget are the exact ones we've been talking about, right? Transportation, out-of-district costs, those tuitions are obviously rapidly escalating, and I interpret this as further data of continuing to double down on all the work we're doing in the special ed program about the revisions we've all been talking about. So that may be the most obvious statement of the day, but I just, those are pretty crystal clear data points, I think, for all of us.
Amy, what can we use the non-lapsing fund for?
So you can use it for whatever you all approve it to be used for, education expenses, capital, things of that nature. Mhm.
For budget season, do we have to do anything for that food services? Set up, or do we have to?
We'll have to add it to the general fund budget.
Added to the operating. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it's just moving money around, just when we get there.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it takes some time to get those credits done, not just 1 year.
Correct.
Yeah.
Any other questions, discussion before we go?
Were we expecting the surplus in the healthcare kind of, like you built in the cliff? Remind me about that, I forget.
I mean, it was a situation, if we go back 2 years, it was a large budget increase.
Yeah.
The main drivers were the new teacher's contract, and insurance was a significant driver that year. The prior year, I mean, the rates alone were like a 12%
Yeah.
increase that was recommended by Lockton. On top of that, the prior year, we had used a couple $100,000 from the fund, from the insurance fund to kind of balance out the operating budget. We do that from time to time. So we built in, like we made up for that. So we did the increase, plus we built that piece in there. That kind of led to the overage a little bit. I mean, we were conservative in how we budgeted, and we ended up benefiting from it.
Are we seeing some of the benefits from the changes we've made over the last couple of years, like paying off a little bit? Like the prescription
A little better
drug
cost
stuff, all those
controls.
things?
Yeah, I think so.
I think Lockton has been pleased with the fact that all of our new employees are required to go to the high deductible plan. They certainly speak favorably of that in terms of an insurance
And what's
overall savings.
And what's absolutely been stabilized is a few years ago, it's a shared internal service fund on the town side and the Board of Ed side. The fund was a bit unstable, and now it's very stable. So that provides us with a little bit of flexibility as we plan and, we move forward.
So we have a motion before us to move the money into the non-lapsing.
I'll move. Move effective September 24th, 2024 to transfer Board of Education surplus funds in the amount of $551,160 into the non-lapsing fund.
Josh, second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Report is really good. Like, it's so easy to follow, and the summary at the bottom of everything, so
Okay.
appreciate
Great.
putting it together like that.
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to the high school report.
Sure, we'll invite up to
The
the
team.
podium the entire team here.
All right.
And as the team kind of transitions, we're just really excited to be in this place. Maggie entering her second year as the Simsbury High School principal. And they've framed this out in a way that's become familiar to us, framing it in our strategic plan and the goals, and what was the work and the celebrations, and what was the work accomplished, but also in the spirit of continuous improvement. What does our data and what does information and survey data and student performance tell us that is the next level of work, and what are some of those challenges? So Maggie and her team will frame that out and interweave those celebrations, but again, those next levels of work and those challenges within a very robust report.
Great, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm excited to stand before you to give you the Simsbury High School school report for the 23-24 school year. With me tonight, I have our Director of School Counseling, Greg Stillman, Assistant Principal Georgia Robert, Assistant Principal Ken Pera, and Assistant Principal Vanessa Messiah. So excited to have our team together. It's hard to believe it's been a year since I stood before you. And what a difference a year makes, I will say that. So last year was truly a year of listening and learning and really strengthening the structures and systems that have been present at Simsbury High School and made this such a successful high school for so long. I wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you. Thank you to my administrative team, to central office, and to all of you for your support. The collaboration and teamwork that makes this happen is truly unbelievable. When people ask me about being a high school principal in this day and age, I easily say to them, it is the team and the support that I get on a daily basis. So thank you. As Sue just said, we have structured our presentation for you tonight in the 4 areas of the Simsbury Public School our goals, our Board of Ed goals. So we want to share with you some successes, some celebrations, and then really where are our priorities and our focus for the 24-25 school year. So to begin, we are going to talk about student growth and success. I've shared a little bit out there with our open house address that I sent via video today, so we're going to highlight some different aspects for you tonight, but really wanted to start in this area that we are super excited to see some outstanding academic achievement by our students. You saw some of that showcased already tonight, so we're going to share some of that with you in addition to some metrics related to our college and career readiness from the Office of our School Counseling Department. So I'm going to turn it over to them.
So we have up here the slide, you can obviously see that, and I know Maggie, we started the day celebrating the bottom of that, the 8 students who earned the Capstone diploma. But when you look at these numbers, for the most part, they're the highest they have been. 465 students, that's the most students in the past 5 years, I should say, is the data that I was looking at. 957 tests is the second highest. The highest was about, I think, 3 or 4 years ago, and it was 964. So we're kind of right in that particular range. The 83% scoring 3 or higher is the highest that we've been over the past 5 years as well. And then as you look at these distinctions, the 69 students qualified for the AP Scholar Award. The AP Scholar Award is if you take and score a 3 or higher in any 3 AP tests, then you get the AP Scholar Award. 31 for the AP Scholar with honor. That is if you average 3.25 on every AP test that you took, and and you've scored 3 or higher on at least 4 tests. The 73 students, which is our highest number, as you can see there, is the AP Scholar of Distinction. That is average of 3.5 on all of the AP tests that you took, and that you score 3 or higher on 5 or more. So you can't double dip. That was the first thing I was wondering when I saw this. Can you get more than one here? You cannot double dip. You get one of those 3 if you qualify. The only one that you can double dip on would be the 8 students, the Capstone diploma. They get that, and then they fall into one of those other categories as well. So highly successful year when it comes to our APs, of more kids taking the test, more kids doing well on it. Okay, I don't know if nope, SAT test. Yeah.
Okay. I have a lovely celebratory slide as well. So for our SAT testing, you will see that we were first in our district reference group, DIRG B. 86% of our students in the junior year are college ready in English language arts. In math, we were second in our DIRG, and 60% meet that college readiness benchmark also in that junior year. Our mean SAT score last year was 1130, so that went up from the previous year, which was 1102. The state mean was at 966 for 2024, and The national score was at 952. So if you see there, the previous year was higher, 975. So the state and the national mean went down while Simsbury's went up. Okay, so we're very proud of our SAT scores as well.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm here to share with you our next generation science standard assessment accomplishments. So we have 87% of students who tested at or above goal on this assessment. This assessment in particularly looks at science and engineering practices. It also looks at some disciplinary core ideas and cross-cutting concepts across physical science, life science, earth and space, and engineering. So really proud that 87% of our students were at or above goal. We were the first in the DIRG this year as well as last year, and second in the state. Last year we were third in the state, so saw growth in that area as well. Where's the clicker?
And that number was just the juniors, not, or was that all kids that took the NGSS?
That was just the
Juniors.
juniors that they're reporting on. And NGSS, as a reminder, is administered in grades 5, 8, and 11.
All right. One of our goals as a school counseling department is to help all students figure out what their post-high school plan options are and really try to match them with their skills, values, and abilities. I want to show you where we fell for the class of 2024 and what our goals are for the future classes. So last year we had 19% of our graduates accepted to a most competitive college. The category of most competitive college is something we've been trying to figure out how to measure. For a long time we used a publication called Barron's, which went out of date in 2019, and we were using that. They had a nice list of about 100 colleges that they considered the most competitive colleges. So we've been trying to figure out how to measure the most competitive colleges, and we've gone to the U.S. News and World Report, which again is a national publication that a lot of people are familiar with. We've taken the top 50 universities and top 50 liberal arts. They have two separate ranking lists, and we kind of merged those colleges together. A lot of those colleges are similar to the ones that we used to see in the Barron's most competitive list. So this will be how we will track most competitive colleges going forward. That 19% is along the lines of where we were when we used to use the Barron's and where we've been in the last couple years as we moved over to the U.S. News and World Report. You know, it's our goal. Obviously, it's great to get into most competitive colleges, but it's about finding the right fit for each student, and not every student, the most competitive colleges are the right fit. So that is our goal, and we are very proud of the success we've had and our students have had of getting accepted to the colleges that they feel are their best fits.
I would argue that 19% is, while it doesn't seem super high, it's I know a couple kids who are in college who are probably not among the 19%, and they're at very competitive colleges.
Yeah.
So,
well, I agree. You look at 19%, it doesn't seem high. 100 colleges seems like a lot of colleges, but when you think about there's over 2,000 colleges out there,
correct.
This is less than 5% of the colleges that we're looking at here. So.
500 most competitive colleges.
Right, and UConn's not part of that group as well, and that's obviously a rising university that's just outside of the top 50. So we've had a lot of students getting accepted there as well and doing very well.
So that was the 76 and the 14, right? That adds up to 90. So that's like 10, so 1 out of every 10 kids is in college.
Correct. So.
Common themes or?
Yeah, so the 90% is actually higher than we've been the last few years. For a while, prior to 2020, we were up over 80% attending four-year college and about 6 or 7% attending the two-year college. The 14% is extremely high. That's the highest I've seen. And I think a big piece of that is some of the changes that have gone on at the Connecticut community college system. couple of those changes. One is they become a system of all of the schools combined. You no longer are just applying to Tunxus or applying to Nuntuck. You're applying to the Connecticut Community College system. They allow you more ability to take courses at each campus. They allow you to take more online courses. So you might be going to Tunxus, but maybe taking a couple courses online at Nuntuck. So that's appealing. The ability to transfer your credits to the state schools is almost flawless. If you do well at Tunxus or as Nuntuck, you can go right to UConn after 2 years, and the credits transfer. And the most important thing is it's become a free option for students. Yeah. So.
I hope he's going to say that.
Yeah. There's the biggest reason. And I think families are just making financially sound decisions to say, you know, this is for 2 years, we can save a lot of money, and then from there, go off to a college, get your bachelor's degree at that college, and save 2 years worth of paying tuition.
Yeah, so I guess that was kind of what I was getting at, right? Like with that ability, financials somewhat off the table, if you will.
Correct.
The fact still like 1 in 10, is it going into the workforce?
Yeah, so I'll get to that on the next slide, actually. Let me just hit one more on this slide. On the bottom, that's just some data that we get from a database called the National Clearinghouse, which they track your graduates and their success rate of graduating college within 6 years of graduating high school. So we now have data on the 2018 class, which now 6 years out is 2024. And you can see we stay pretty steady in that low 70% rate. And that's just all of Simsbury graduates. So it doesn't say whether, it's whether or not they went to college. That's all of the graduates from 2018. 72% of those graduates are getting a college diploma within 6 years. The national rate is low 60s, and the Connecticut rate is mid to upper 60s. So again, our students well prepared when they head off to college and earning those degrees within 6 years. All right, next slide. All right, so this is, that last slide was about college. Now we're going to talk a little bit about career. So as you say, about 1 in 10 are not going off to college. Some of them are going off to military. Some of them are going off to prep schools. But we have about 8% of our graduates that go right into employment or attend a career education program. So maybe going to Lincoln Tech or Porter and Chester, doing something where they're doing a career preparation program. So, you know, you talked about curriculum review a little bit earlier, and the counseling department went through a curriculum review last year. And one of the areas of focus that we wanted to have was on career education. You know, I think that whether students are going to college or not going to college, at some point, we want them to have a career. So career education is important for all of our students, and you know we focus a lot on academic, we focus a lot on social emotional, but we want to put a little more emphasis on career education with all of our students. So a couple things that we have been doing, you know, thanks to the Capstone program, that's allowed students to really start honing in on what their passions are while they're in high school. Some of those students satisfy those passions throughout courses that they're taking. But we do have some students who are doing internships through the SHS Capstone and have done some internships working at McLean, working at local physical therapy programs, International Skating Center, Simsbury Community Media, are all different internship opportunities that kids are having the opportunities to do as part of the Capstone program. Our Capstone coordinator, Liz McKay, she also put together last year a career and trades panel where she had 3 of our local business owners, the owner of Nelson Construction, M&M Auto, and BFZ Electric. They came in to speak to a group of students and talk to them about their pathways to get into those careers and what that entailed.
Actually, in this room, and it was packed.
Yep. Yep, and that's there's plans to do that again this year and bring in some different careers to talk. As a counseling department, we want to explore interests and personality inventories. We've used some of those in the past through our program called Naviance, but we want to try to see if there's other interest and personality tests that we can administer to students to help them with this kind of self-exploration of what are their interests, what are their values, and what kind of careers might match up with that so that they can, that can help them as they explore further. And then lastly, we are putting in some plans for a larger career fair, so kind of taking that idea, the career in trades, and maybe expanding it to a bigger career fair that some other high schools do. And again, not just for the non-college bound, not just for the college bound, but kind of having both to be satisfied so that students, regardless of what path they might be going on, they'll have an ability to talk to some people in different careers and kind of get an idea of what it takes to get there. Thank you.
So the next area that we would like to talk to you about is our compassionate and connected school culture. We have some celebrations tonight, but to begin, before we share those, I wanted to let you know about the surveys that we give to students, families, and also our staff each year at the end of the year. These provide us with some real insights into their experiences and giving us some positive feedback and some areas to consider for the future. So these surveys, by and large, have all remained the same. So from the previous year to this year, we've changed one, which was the student survey, to add an additional question around how they feel about the feedback they receive in terms of tests and quizzes and projects. So these surveys we spend a lot of time with in the summer. We analyze them. We read not only the multiple choice and how they performed, how we get the metrics from that, but also the open-ended. We spent a lot of time with our department supervisors looking at those open-ended responses, looking for themes and ways that we can utilize that to move our work forward this year. So in the next section, we're going to share with you some of the celebrations in this particular area.
Ken, you seem surprised every time.
We kept saying, does anyone know the order? Does anyone know the order? We're all prepared, we just weren't sure about the order. As Maggie had said about this, we do spend a tremendous amount of time, and this summer, Georgia, Maggie, Vanessa, and I got together in Maggie's office and went through all of this, and then we split them up to go through, because there's a lot of data there. Hey, let's go through, let's look at these. We agreed on there'd be a change. We said plus or minus 3 would be a change. And then we went through, and one of the things we weren't ready for is that when we were done and we all reported out, we went up in everything. I think there was one question overall we didn't go up in, but every single thing we went up in. So that in and of itself, in its totality, was quite a celebration. So we're very happy about that. What we ended up doing when we saw that is, well, what are the ones that really, really jump out? And let's talk about those and celebrate those and bring that to retreat and talk a little bit about that. So in families, these are the 3 that jumped the highest under that particular category. The feeling of safety at school has jumped considerably. My child's school has a welcoming environment had jumped considerably, and the disciplinary procedures at my child's school are fair. We're above 50%. So the admin team in particular, assistant principals, are very happy about that. But very happy with the direction everything went in celebrating this. So there were quite a few other questions that the families took. This was sent home to families. We had about the same number of families that took it. It was 111 or something along those lines, which is actually a pretty high result. So.
Question.
Yes.
What was the one question that didn't have the increase? I don't want to put you on the spot, but.
It was, if I remember, something about, it was interesting because there was another one that jumped considerably higher about teachers, and then this one was a teacher one too, if I remember correctly.
Yes, there was one. The academics at my child's school are engaging. So while it was still high, it was about 71% the year before, it was about the same. So it only went up about 1. We consider that statistically insignificant, like it's kind of a wash. So that was the one that only went up 1 percentage point from the previous year. Other than that, everything else went up 3 or more. Yes.
And just one quick question on that. The number of families you said that did the survey, it's the same last year and this year. You said around 110 or so. Out of how many families are in the school?
It's about 900 families. So we had about 200 families who took it in 23-24, and about 215 who took it in the following year.
I thought you
So,
said that.
yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was wrong.
No, it was similar. 200 is the.
Staff, he's
Yep.
thinking about.
Staff is the.
Maggie, I don't know if you have the discipline, so 50%, so yeah, half the people are like, this is fair, right? Do we know if they feel like they should be stricter, less strict? Was that like a follow-up question, any?
That's not on there, but that's a great question.
The comments
The comments did.
fell into both extremes.
Yes.
You're too loose, you're too strict. It's interesting. There was no common theme in that in terms of the feedback of what it was. And that's all the, as it says, I think, somewhere in there, it's like highly favorable, or I agree, strongly agree or agree, and I think there was a neutral category as well.
Yeah, there is.
So before you even got to the negative, it was significantly higher.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nope, we didn't do
You
staff
didn't
yet.
do staff yet.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, fast clicker.
So in addition to our families, we also surveyed our staff. In 2022, 2023, we had 60 staff that took the survey. Last year, we had 113 that took the survey. So that, again, speaks to some engagement on the staff end and getting their feedback and their voices in on how they're feeling in the school community. There were 3 areas in particular that stood out to us with an increase. So the first being feeling engaged with the admin in the school. Staff are pretty vocal about wanting to ensure that admin is visible, accessible, and so we last year really took that on as something of importance to be able to check in with our staff in a way that was more meaningful for them, and we saw the increase from 36% to 59%. Also feeling connected to the school community, we saw the increase there from 59% of our staff to 75%, and the last area being around professional development. So we know our teachers want to feel that their time in those developments is valuable, that they're learning, that they have takeaways that they can apply into their classrooms and their life, and they felt that PD was delivered in a way that addresses their own learning style and was applicable to the things that they wanted to know more about. So really excited about the increases in these particular areas.
The first one especially,
Yeah.
Yes.
because you basically won over a third of the staff.
Yes.
Is what I think. I mean, a third of the people were
Yeah.
self-engaged, now it's more like closer to 2/3. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
And again, these percentages do not include the neutral percentages either, which could go either way, as we know, but they're not in the disagree category, which
Yeah,
is
I think
very encouraging.
we felt very encouraged by this and are really trying to ensure that we're keeping this momentum into the school year and continuing.
Great.
Great, Vanessa.
Okay, so our final set of survey results we want to talk about are, of course, the students. So we had an increase in the number of survey takers last year. We made the decision to survey 2 grades. So previously we had been surveying 1 grade. We did both the juniors and the seniors in this survey. So you can see in the first set that we asked them, teachers are excited about what they teach, and that rose dramatically. So we were down at 15% and rose to 58%. In the gold, you see previously we had about 53% of students feeling behavior distracted from their learning, and that went down to 21%. And another jump that we're very excited about, My School Values Diversity. So 22-23, that was listed at 40%, and last year we were at 70%.
Do you have any theories or ideas about what prompted those very, each one of those is a very dramatic increase or decrease in a positive way? Any thoughts as to what prompted that or what's driving that?
Anyone from the team? I have so many ideas.
Is there a prevailing thought?
I think there was a significant shift in the style of instruction from when we were in COVID. There was a very stand and deliver style, and we really did go back to, pushing collaborative groups, group work. The emphasis on our attributes from the vision of the graduate around being able to communicate and that being an important part. I do think that, and we're going to see this in our focus for next, this upcoming year, is that kids want more. They want more hands-on. When we went through the survey, one of the areas that they want to even have an increase in is hands-on, group activities, opportunities to work collaboratively. So I think that we were able to meet them there, and we have more work to do because they'd like more. And then the other thing, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think in the gold area here, where we're talking about detracting from learning and behavior, I think that, you know, when we came together as a team, we took on some problematic spaces. So, you know, a lot of times it is unstructured spaces, for example, the hallways. So, you know, with the help of our tech ed department, we sort of got back to some basics around hallway passes and more attention to hallway monitoring, and started to do research around, you know, how can we improve the climate when kids walk into the bathrooms. And so we've really been sort of attacking different spaces, and as we take on one space, we want to keep that up and then sort of tackle another problematic area. And we do have a very powerful program that we use, which is Swiss. So we do have the ability to really track where things are happening in our building, what time of day. So we do have a lot of great data around where behavior arises and interrupts learning, and we've been taking it head on.
I also think excitement is contagious. So with the staff, how they're saying they're more connected to this team, they're in classrooms more, they're visible more, and I think that excitement also plays out when teachers get excited about what they're doing and they can teach without these other distractions that this team is capably taking care of. So I think that that's part of it as well.
I will say, I wasn't going to share this, but in the middle, the student behavior detracting, our discipline incidents are up as compared to the previous year. But I also think that has a positive impact that we're handling the behavior. So while we did see an increase, and I do think some of that has to do with the implementation of the bake detectors and some other things, that we did see an increase in those overall discipline referrals as compared to the year before. But that also sends a message that we are serious, we do have expectations, and we are going to follow through on them. So that was something else.
These are great.
Yeah.
I agree completely. As a parent of high schoolers at this school for the last 6 or 7 years, I've seen a change. You know, in school spirit, in, yeah, I mean, see, like, smiles in the hallway, all that stuff, and talking to my children for sure.
Sorry, I know you mentioned this, but I also have a question. You said you only surveyed one grade last year? Which grade was it? Oh, our grade?
You 2 years in a row.
Right. Okay.
At the end of your sophomore year and at the end of your junior year. So we wanted to look at you guys over the course of time, which I think will be a practice that we do moving forward, so we get a little bit more of a, you know, an understanding of the student body.
Oh, okay, I see.
Do you have any theories as to why those numbers could have changed, or?
Well, for the first one, I feel like, I don't know, like the difference in responses. I've never felt like my teachers haven't been excited for teaching. But for the second one, my theory is like, because you started cracking down on like the hallway passes and also I think tardies last year, I feel like I've known some teachers mention that like when students come in late, it kind of stops class and then other people get distracted and it takes away a couple of minutes. So I think cracking down on the tardies really helped that. And also the hallway passes because people can't just leave anymore. So I feel like that. And then for the last one, I also have noticed the increase in like diversity awareness, like with Deep Week and all of the, like with the, I think it's called the DEED Council, the Equity Council, as well as like, I know sometimes you have like for Hispanic Heritage Month, like I see notable people at school and sometimes over the announcements you bring it up. So I have noticed an increase in that, I will say like last year and this year. So I think that definitely is the reason for the last one.
Thank you.
My just quick question was just also was around the data. So this data represents grade 12, current grade 12's viewpoint for the last 2 years?
Yes,
Only.
it does.
Not,
No.
okay.
No,
so it
not
also has
only.
9th and 10th and seniors?
Last year was 11, this year was 11 and 12. So last year's 11, this year's 12, it's the same. But then you're adding in the 11.
That's correct.
So no freshmen and no sophomores, only the juniors and seniors?
Correct.
This is the data from the
Last year.
sophomore, from the kids at the end of their sophomore year last year. Current juniors and current seniors.
Current juniors, current seniors.
So they were sophomores when they were responding to this, then they were juniors then, right? Sophomores was running, so then juniors responding to
Left
this.
is current seniors.
And now
right
the
is current
juniors, yeah,
juniors.
juniors.
Can I ask one quick? You said earlier only one question was neutral or negative. Was that just on the parent surveys? And if so, is there anything for students or staff that we covered that had opportunities, if you will, or went the other way?
Yes,
And it doesn't have to be on the spot, it can be at the end.
I think literally over all 3, there was only one that went down, if I remember correctly. It was a teacher one. Or was it?
the staff one we
It's a
had
student one.
3, right, the staff one we had 3 that went down. And actually, it was, the district provides us with the materials that they need. I think they felt a little budget crunch, which isn't. The district provides us with instructional technology that we need. So again, those are 2 areas. And then the other one that went down is I'm satisfied with the amount of leave time I can access.
So everything's going great at the school, it's the district.
Those are the yellow ones, I'm just saying.
No, it's-
The others, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that were neutral, didn't change, and then there was, I believe that there were like 19 of them that all improved. So, yeah, that was the staff one. Students, it's funny, all students are supported by staff. We had a decrease in, by 6 percentage points. And then the school has positive energy, which cracks me up. We actually had a theory about this, is that we feel like the crackdown has also potentially resulted in this because the extracurricular activities for me went up 21%. My school values diversity up 29. My teachers are excited up 43. So we had lots of, so I wonder about that one, but that was one that did. In this school, the rules are fair. That went up by 6 in the students' perspective. So, yeah, some areas.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Yeah.
And the percentage of kids that responded and teachers that responded?
You had students.
452 last year, so.
Yeah, that's the whole, 452 for last year between
all
the
of
2
them,
classes.
right?
Yeah.
Practically.
And then the
yeah.
year before was the 1 grade, 233 students.
And for the staff, we had 60 that took the survey and 113, 60 that took it last year and 113 that took it.
How many do we have?
Staff,
127 certified, so, and this was woven in, I do believe non-certified were able to take, oh no, they took a different version of this, right? I think they took a different version of this one.
So it's high percentage.
It's a high percentage.
Almost 50%
Yeah,
more.
I believe we carve out time for the students to take it.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Yep, they took it in
So unlike the
system.
families, which you might email that out several times, but it may or may not
Yep.
get cut
But at the end of the day, very
Yeah.
representative.
Yes, yeah.
So while we're talking about crackdowns, how's it going with
Wait, hold on, let's let,
We're gonna get
I know
there.
where you're going. I'm with you, I'm with you, hold on.
It's coming.
Just let's let him get, let's let him finish and then that question's coming, I know.
Okay, well, this is an amazing slide, which I highly encourage you to read, cover to cover when you have a moment. But I am just going to do some amazing highlights. So some highlights from this slide, major accomplishments. Number 7 in Connecticut for U.S. News and World Report. We were also a Project Lead the Way School of Distinction. I can speak, my son filling out college applications for engineering schools, I'm seeing that is a checkbox, which schools are asking, did you have any Project Lead the Way courses at your school? 2 Halo Awards for Peter and the Starcatcher. So the Halo Awards are, they recognize Connecticut high school theater students and programs. We had multiple awards in those areas, including acting, directing, technical theater, and more. Also, our culinary arts students competed for the first time in the 2024 Connecticut Pro Start Invitational in Hartford. They placed third and fourth, their first time out. They are very much preparing to go back.
Already.
Very, very excited. We will document that day very well. I think it's
They
going to go
want that
well.
number one.
Yes.
They are hungry for it.
They are locked in.
If they need any just testers to,
Yeah,
preparation,
yes.
I'll let
That was a
clear my
great
calendar.
idea.
I will clear it.
An amazing year athletically. 4 state championships in athletics. First place at the New England Math League. Our robotics team attended the World Championships. And we also had a great showing at a major DECA state conference. We were first in the financial literature area and business administration as well. So again, our DECA program is thriving. They're also excited to go back.
They are ready.
And ready to go. Okay. So at this point, we're going to turn over to what we gleaned from last year's data and where we're going this year. So our theme this year is obviously inspired by the recent Olympics and Paralympics in Paris, a year to go for gold. And we have really set the stage with this. We had assemblies at the very beginning of the year with each grade level. They came down to the auditorium and we really talked about this, the idea of practicing, taking on something new, and really pursuing their passions, as well as really diving into their studies this year and thinking about that Olympian mindset. And it's also really translated over to us as well. So I wanted to share with you the areas of focus in each of the categories. So in student growth and success, the work in this area is really going to complement the Curriculum Council curriculum review cycle that Sue and the entire teaching and learning team has started. As you're probably aware, on the website, we have curriculum maps for every course and every grade level. What our work is this year is to go beneath that into the instruction and the assessment. Going back to that survey data, really thinking about the types of activities that kids are going to be given the opportunity to participate in, and also making sure that we have realigned goals to the standards that are guaranteed for all of our students. This directly targets what our students said they wanted, more hands-on, more engaging tasks, and also what our staff said in their survey results. They really want more time dedicated to revising current units, drafting new ones, and really increasing the differentiation and the critical thinking within what they're teaching. So I think this focus also really takes us an opportunity to look at common assessments, course assessments, and our public markers, which are the SAT and NGSS. What we've learned last year when we had professional development about SAT and the new style is it's not necessarily the knowledge and skill on the SAT, that's important, but what's really showing kids a little bit of difficulty is the way the question is being phrased. For example, one of the questions will say, these are the students' notes, and they'll bullet out all of these notes. Which way would you summarize all of that into one sentence? And they're like, wait a minute, what am I doing? I'm looking at somebody else's notes. So what we want to do is ensure that we're giving students opportunities to see those types of questions within their regular content so that they can increase their confidence and really be able to attack that test with the true knowledge and skill that they have. So that's an area that we're really focusing in on through our department supervisors and then through PLCs, and also hopefully through some release time where teachers will really be able to dig in and revise those units, realign those, and create new ones that they know that they want to do in order to align back to standards. The other area is the VOG blueprint. We talked a little bit about it when Jen updated the committee. What our goal is this year, as you see on the VOG posters, we have 6 competencies. Those are the yellow, the critical thinker, communicator, collaborator. Underneath, there are 4 attributes. So 6 times 4, we've got 24 specific skills that we want students to walk away from Simsbury High School in their K-12 experience with real, true skill. We are going to be putting these directly into the courses that students are taking so that they can get feedback, they can get truly aligned information where it's woven right into the activities and the instruction from the teacher.
So for example, grade 9, World Civ, you're going to get feedback on communicator, delivers clear and concise, accurate ideas, and global citizen considers the perspective of other cultures. So within that course, you get feedback on those two, and you get that again in 10th grade in World Civ 2. So really creating that blueprint for structured feedback around these competencies in a regular, concise way. So that's our work this year. As teachers look at those units, they're going to be looking at ways they can improve the instructional focus and making it more hands-on. They're going to be making sure it's aligned to standards, and they're going to be making sure that there's opportunities to give feedback on the VOG.
Can I just make one
Yeah.
suggestion there? Again, I don't know how technical capable it is. When it is put up online or somewhere, or something like that, like as a parent or someone community made, if you had those 6 and 4, and it was like you could click on one and it would show you, like takes you.
That's Georgia's,
Yeah, like,
yes.
And then any question, where are they learning about this? You can go out there and boom.
Yes, right on with, and also where they might see that in the elementary, where they would see how it changes in 6th grade and then in 10th grade. Great suggestion, and one that Georgia was sharing, hey, wouldn't this be cool if we had this? So right in alignment with what we've got. I wanted to take the opportunity to share with the board a little about our PSAT. Actually, you took my slide on this one too, Rafaela. So the PSAT will be given in grades 9, 10, and 11 on October 9th. We are offering this year a parent and student evening where we want to show students and parents how the new resources from College Board are available to them. What's really amazing, did you use this? Did you use any of these resources through College Board?
Like the practice test they have?
Yeah.
I used a couple.
Great. So a lot of people don't know that there's many free resources available to students through College Board that are truly aligned to how they performed. So there's 4 adaptive practice tests and there's 4 non-adaptive. We also are planning to have students there who used this so they can speak directly to their student colleagues or peers to say, hey, this really was helpful because it is, based on how you performed, it will connect to Khan Academy with a video and with some other practice questions so that you can get some repeated practice of that concept and looking at it as the way it's being asked on the test. So we want to open that up to families to share with them that resource, but most importantly, let some of our current seniors who used it and found it to be very valuable share that back with the current juniors or sophomores. They're welcome to come because College Board has really changed and shifted to access to all in terms of resources to improve their performance. The SAT school day will be given in early spring on March 19th, 2025. All right. The next area that we will be working on this year is in the compassionate and connected school culture. We've identified a few areas, obviously from our survey data, from our experience last year, and the first one is our cell phone policy. We've implemented a school-wide cell phone policy, and this comes with challenges. We know that students are really connected to those phones. I have to say, so far they've done really well for the most part. They walk into the room, they put them into the cell phone tree, and they leave them there for the duration of the period. One of the biggest changes is they are not allowed to take them if they have to go to the restroom or walk out. We're seeing shorter restroom breaks. We're seeing much quicker returns to class because they're not getting distracted along the way. The other really interesting thing is, and it's a challenge still for some, and I think it's improving, is phones are definitely a barrier to those authentic interpersonal relationships, right? It's awkward after you put it in there and you sit in class and you're like, who's around me and what am I going to say, or do I just look down? What we are noticing and kids are saying, they're starting to have like a chit chat, like they're starting to converse with, is it true? You know, just yes, it's funny. Like
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
I hate to admit it.
Like
It's
that
true.
casual conversation is being sparked, and it's getting easier. The other thing I thought was great, Vanessa was saying the other day, she went in for an observation, and we're really trying to practice what we preach. Walked over, put her cell phone in the cell phone tree when she came in for an observation. It was like, nope, this is for everybody. We're here, it's focused learning time. I was like, oh God, where's your phone?
Let it go.
Yeah, it's hard, it's true, it's a challenge, but it's something that we're trying, it's a strong reinforcer that we're also trying to really, in the hallway, Ken and I have looked at each other, no, put it away, it's class time and we're not supposed to be doing this, we want to set that model and expectation. Attendance, you actually also brought this up for me, Rafaela. That's another area. We have worked to message consistent expectations about on time to class, being in school, and we are dealing with chronic absenteeism. We do have some battles that are very challenging. We're not alone in this. Actually, our nurses just went to a Lynn Lyons presentation yesterday or today around chronic absenteeism and how the nurse can support in these conversations. One of the things that I think that it's really done is it's brought us together to the table with the student, the parent, sometimes the coach, the nurse, the assistant principal to say, how can we support you? What do we need? Because we do know with many of our students who are struggling in this area, it could be deeper than just not wanting to be at school. There are other things that could be impacting them. But we do believe the amount of interruptions in the day needs to be reduced. Every time somebody walks in, the teacher's got to stop, bring them up to speed, and for the person who was there on time, it's incredibly disrespectful to their learning and what they need to do in terms of their performance in school. The bathrooms. This continues to be an area to work on and improve. We rolled out a small pilot last year with the vape detectors just in one set of bathrooms. We did take our time with it. We had the detectors. We did some testing. We did like some body spray. I looked back at Georgia because Georgia was like, I think we got to test these and really know what we're up against. And but we have to say, with that slow roll, we were able to determine what are our procedures when the detector goes off. It's a silent detector. The kids don't know if it goes off when vape is present. We get a message. So we needed to ensure that we knew who was responding, how we were responding, what's the follow-up to families after we have a situation where we do need to talk to multiple students. I will say that I do think it's successful. I do think that we are finding students who are struggling with their, using the vapes in school. But the challenge to me is not only this, but what's the root cause? I worry that, yes, a consequence is going to stop it in the moment, but what do we have for cessation classes to getting at why they're actually needing this as a crutch at, I'll be honest, at 7:20 in the morning when school hasn't even started? Like, that to me is alarming and worrisome. So that's something that I do know is a challenge that we've got to think more about. What's the consequence paired with the teach and the support for that kiddo who is struggling beyond curiosity of a, fruit punch flavored vape? We are continuing to purchase these, so we've got another set on the third floor, and we have two more sets that are coming in. It is our plan to open up more bathrooms. We do still have adults outside on duties most of the time, and we do have students signing in and signing out. So those also, we always say, how do you drive when the police are behind you at 10 and 2 in the speed limit? How do kids act when you're out in the hallway? They act pretty well when you're right there. Our kids really respond very well when we're in proximity and when there's an adult saying hi. But there continues to be challenges with that. But we're hopeful. I do think the slow roll of the vape detectors has been successful, and it's something that I think we did in the right way, because those first couple days, it's going off. We found one particular hairspray that sends it off. So other than that, I have to say, when it goes off, it's legit. It's not their perfume. It's not things like that. We only found one particular brand that has a coconut base in it that truly did set it off, and it was for no reason. The last two areas in our Connected and Compassionate School Culture is the Encouraging Words campaign. The Equity Council just met today. So in collaboration with Dr. Batchelor and our teacher leader, Katie Keenan, she is running our Equity Council this year. The students are taking this and making it high school appropriate, and really thinking about ways that they can kick this off. And we talked today about it being an election year, and, you know, words matter, and the impact of positive and negative, and how are we going to, you know, treat each other, and that these things are important. I was excited to see that the kids didn't look at this as, oh, this is a little kid thing. They really saw value in what we were trying to do, moving this at this level. And finally, celebrating students. Students said they want more opportunities to come together. They want more spirit rallies. We've got one Friday with some exciting things coming that way. And I love it because the kids continue to plan this. They're proposing to us. They run it, they MC it, we have to make sure that it's all good, but we had some very interesting things that have been proposed. But it's been a really exciting thing to see them take the lead, and when they take the lead, the student body respects them, and that's the encouraging part of that.
Hey, Maggie, just before,
Yep.
can I interrupt you I just want to make sure, I'm pretty sure this was going to be your question, I just want to make sure. Were you going to ask about the cell phones? Are you good? Okay.
Good. Any other questions? This is a loaded slide, so.
On the attendance, you had mentioned about the teachers being interrupted and stuff. I was under the false impression until you just said so, that it was more about kids coming in late. But this is, you're saying they're missing the bell completely and not even showing
both.
up. Okay.
Yeah, it's both. It's coming in late to the entrance of the school day, and then it's between classes. So yeah, it is really both, and it's significant, the number. And we've already seen an improvement. I think that's the biggest thing. We've really clarified, for our juniors and seniors who have that privilege to come in a little bit late if they've got an open at the first or the end, that it's not an open campus. Simsbury High School is not come and go when you are needing to be here on time. We've seen a significant improvement. I will tell you, traffic is now not at 7:20, it's at like 7:12, because people have really have respected that, and it's funny. Georgia's the person at the front who tells them to run. She's like, hurry, run. But we've moved also our attendance person out into the lobby for that beginning part. So as soon as that bell rings, you do have to swipe in But I have to say the overall response by setting those expectations and clearly messaging those has been really positive.
Swipe in?
Yeah, we have a machine. Yeah.
With their IDs?
They can do it with their IDs, or they can punch in their last name. We actually just got a second one for the parent drop-off area, so they don't have to come all the way up to the office. We can swipe them in right there.
Actually, I do have a cell phone question.
Okay.
How are the teachers responding to the enforcement that they have to do with putting it and making sure everyone puts it in their tree? And are they getting a lot of pushback from the kids? How have they responded to this?
I think teachers were pushing for a uniform policy from us. They had their own policies, or they had their own expectations in the classroom, and found, depending on what that was, that they would get more pushback because I have to do that in Mr. Perez's class, but I don't have to do it in Ms. Messiah's class. So they wanted something more uniform and structured, and so our teacher buy-in is very high. They are reminding students when they come in, put your cell phone in the tree, keep it there. There is, of course, some student pushback, more so with regard to when they leave, right? They want to take the cell phone to the bathroom. But we laid out for teachers, like, this is new for all of us, students and ourselves. It's going to be tough, so we just have to keep reminding, giving grace. And I can say for my office, have not had any cell phone referrals where, students were flat out defiant against the rules. So, it's taking some time and some reminders, but students and teachers are very bought in my opinion.
I would agree. They're using it as the attendance too, right? You can look at whose phone is in there. Do I think that we have a couple bringing in 2 phones? Possibly.
Yes.
Yep. One that they...
No, you didn't.
He brings his dummy phone to the, But I think by and large, I'm really impressed with our kids. I also will be very honest that I messaged this, that we can either follow these rules or we're getting those pouches. I don't want the pouches. Because in the pouches goes your earbuds and everything else, and that seems ridiculous for students who are 15 to 18 years old. So I was very clear with kids that we can have our own and govern our own rules and make this a real priority, or we can have someone help us with these pouches that unlock as you walk out the door. And that was made clear to them in the opening address when they all came down for their grade level assemblies. So I think,
Just for curiosity purposes, the attendance. You mentioned in between classes, like, so we would have issues in the past where kids would go to like the first 3 periods and then bail out and take
Yeah.
off, like,
Are they
come back?
leaving, or are they just hiding somewhere?
they would leave if they had an open. So they would, leave in the middle of the day, but then coming back or late coming back. So the amount of times that they were late by coming and going, and honestly, the speed at which they're driving in the parking lot was alarming, because they're rushing, they're late, so yeah, we had a lot of coming and going, a very open campus feel to it.
Can seniors still leave if they have like the last 2 periods free, or if they have the middle half free and go home and come back?
They can't come home and come back.
That used to be the case.
They can go home if they've got the end free. So if they've got the last 1 or 2 free at the close of the day, and they can also, with parent permission, they can come in late. Yep.
Now, you have a question on the cell phone, just one briefly. Regarding parents, have you seen pushback regarding the cell phones and the policy here?
We can all cite cases, but there's no generally overwhelming support for it.
That's good.
Great.
Yeah, and we do want to continue to we've reminded teachers, Vanessa wrote really took the lead on the policy in this FAQ document, also reminding that we do have students who use it as a medical device, right? It's connected to monitoring blood sugar, it can be connected to other things, so we've just made it really clear in those situations, that if it's a health concern, that we've got those kiddos and we've got that monitored as well, because that is definitely where technology is leading us.
And I could say, at first, as a parent and somebody who loves their cell phone, I was like, I cannot believe you're not going to allow them cell phones during study hall. Like, I cannot believe they have to be able to listen to their music. But now, as a parent, my child and friends and stuff hearing these stories, they're like, we banged out so much work because we had no homework. I'm like, woohoo!
I've seen an increase in the homework completion percentage in study hall as well.
It's true.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
All right. Do we- Any other questions? Can we roll on?
Good.
Premier Workforce, I wanted to reiterate, again, it was talked about teacher evaluation. We've rolled out a new plan. Our department supervisors came in this summer for a 2-day retreat, so they were well-versed on the changes. I think that translated really into a really strong rollout. We had the last Wednesday that we spent writing those plans, so it's been a really seamless approach. As with anything that's new, we've got questions, we start our beginning of the year meetings, but overall an excitement around being able to take their passion, take what students need, and how they want to improve as an educator into consideration as they create their PGPs. AI, in our Premier Workforce, we are really, trying to manage the onset of AI as a tool to increase efficiencies and to really think about how that's a tool, but also really watching academic integrity and how are we working with students to really balance what AI can bring us in the positive and how it really impacts the classroom. So that will be in conjunction with Dave Prinstein and our district-wide AI committee, but teachers are hungry for more information and professional development on how to manage it, especially in our high school classrooms. In the area of Premier Workforce, too, we are really looking at our security staffing model. I'm interested in some of the work this year is how do other comprehensive high schools have their security set up? How is it structured? Is it a per student? What proactive measures are they doing as it relates to security and school safety? In the moment, how are students and security reacting? So that is an area that we're looking at, and it's also something that really is a challenge that we're trying to, get some other information on how others are doing and what successful models are out there. And that really leads me into the challenges ahead. One of the significant challenges that we have is in our intervention model. we are not always aware of what challenges are going to come our way when students come to us. So one of the things that I'm always thinking about is, do we need more math intervention? Do we need more, social emotional intervention? So some of these things we're working through. We're re-looking at we call it our SIT process, but it's a student intervention team, and really trying to look at how many students are in need of math support, ELA support, social emotional, and what that does to our budgetary implications. Last year, we came forward and we asked for an additional case manager for special education. Thank you. Your approval of that has resulted in smaller caseloads and really changed the way that teachers are in the classroom in co-taught models and able to work in smaller groups with students. So the challenges ahead are really in that intervention of what we need for students as they come to us with issues, and also in the area of security. And the last place would be really thinking about that behavioral support. We have some of that through our Pathways program, but we certainly are seeing challenges as other behavior students come with varying degrees of behavior, and how that manifests in a large high school can be tricky, and something that we're thinking about moving forward. So, wrapping up, 2024-25 is a year to go for gold. We've said fueling our preparation, igniting passion, and cultivating personal growth. We're really excited. I can't say enough about our teams here, our teachers, our students, and our families, and just feel it's an honor to be here and to be in a town that really supports the educational system like it does.
Questions, anybody?
I just had that one, on the last slide that you said that on the interventions.
Yeah.
Do we have a lot of new interventions in high school, and then wouldn't you know who's coming from Henry James?
Sometimes.
Do you want to say more about that?
I think sometimes you do, but that shift from 8 to 9, I do think that, this year, one of the things that Georgia runs the SIT team and came to me and said, we really got to think about math. Bringing in an additional math person that really can focus in on high school math, not just a generalist, a specialist. I think that's the biggest thing I've learned in my shift from elementary to high school is you've got to have specialists who really know these content areas versus a general tutor. And I think that's where it gets tricky, even watching what she went through to find another person who had that qualification. And I do think sometimes we plan really well, and sometimes we don't.
On the budget and the survey responses for the district and the budget and the tech, I don't know if it's possible to follow up on any of those, or if it was from staff, and reach out to them. I would be curious, as we go into budget season, like specific feedback on like what things maybe didn't come through and like what the impact was of not getting those. I think it gives a little more teeth to the conversation of, you can say, yeah, budget, but like budget, we didn't have this.
Get some
this was the impact, if possible.
And some of that may be we froze supplies.
Yeah.
And we took the survey right when you froze them.
What's that?
We took the survey right when you froze everything. I was like, I wanted that tape dispenser. It could very well be timing. It really was. It did coincide.
No, but that's important.
It's important.
Amy's got her surplus.
Yeah.
What?
Was it the printers an issue then too?
Oh, we were rolling that out. That's a good point. We were rolling out the fob printing, where everybody wasn't going to have their own inkjet printer in their room. We were going to, so that very well too could have been feeling
Associated.
like. Yep.
Yeah, because something like that has the impact of by not having a printer in every room.
Yeah.
This is the impact of this to the teacher's day, and, and eventually it all comes back to the students most likely, so.
Brian, you have a question? Just a comment on the math. Like, there's been a lot of talk lately about math, right? And how we're up here in ELA, but we're behind in math, whatever. I thought I saw something like 60% readiness for college or something like that, but second in the state in something. What was that? Because I think that's
Second in our
So that's second in our
demographic
third.
reference group.
So it's interesting. The
That makes me
marker.
think the measuring is off or something.
The marker for math is higher than.
Yeah. It's interesting. I dove into like, all right, what does that look like statewide to the Durgays? And there's only about 8 in that top Durg now. The majority, except for Madison,
So if
being
we're
down
only
in Fairfield County.
only 60% and we're in second, right?
Right, so there's only 2
It
districts.
was very, very close to first two, it's minuscule. Like
So
one or two
then-
So I just want to put it,
Less
out of the
than a
highest
percent.
performing Durg A schools, there's only 2 schools in the entire state above 70.
Yeah. Amazing.
So it's a different kind of marker. It's
Yeah.
interesting to think about, you know?
But it's not the same marker, is it, as the elementary middle marker? Because the middles were sort
No.
of in the 70s for math.
Not at all the same marker, totally different
Totally
assessment.
different assessment.
Yep,
And it is the spring of their junior year, right?
Yep.
So they do have,
it's a one hit,
yeah,
yep.
so they have the fourth quarter and they also have,
Yep.
in most cases, the senior year
Their
math
senior.
experience too.
That's a great
But we
point.
don't remeasure them as seniors.
Correct.
To see if we.
There are different
Close that
ways
gap.
you can look at that number, we super scored it and stuff in the past. Yeah, there's different ways we can look at that data to get at what you're talking
The
about. with
highest
growth.
district in Durg A was 76.5.
It's a great presentation.
Yeah, I just want to end on something Sue alluded to earlier. There, as a parent who's graduated one and has got one still there, there is absolutely a renewed energy in that building. I can just equate it to all 5 of you, starting from the top. There is absolutely renewed energy, and you're seeing it in those data points. So I just appreciate everything, and thank you and congrats for a really outstanding year.
Thank
We
you.
talk,
Thank you.
yeah, as you know, many of us have been together for many years. We talk a lot about team and the impact a team can have on a culture. And this example, I think, from our central office view, as you said, is exciting for us. It's exciting to be around. It's exciting to work with all of you. So thank you very much. It was
Thank you.
awesome tonight.
Appreciate it.
Really was.
Thank you. Great job.
All right, so, let's see. Lastly, the BOE committee assignments. They are obviously in your packet. Let me just,
Thank you, Max.
Do we talk about them, or do we just say, looks good?
looks good. Yeah, there's no action, they're just, obviously, talked to all of you about them, so just, here they are.
Add the strategic plan.
Yep, we'll add strategic planning to it. I also want to take a second and acknowledge that there are a lot of asks for this committee, this board, from internally as well as external partners, and just greatly appreciate everybody's willingness to jump in, serve on these committees. Again, committees coming from other boards and commissions as well. So just really want to emphasize that does not go unnoticed, and so I greatly appreciate it. And with that, we go to our second round of public audience. Seeing that there's no public in the room, we're good. The next meeting is Tuesday, October 8th. We're back in the BOE conference room.
Enrollment report.
That's my exciting one.
It's the one.
I'm not get sick.
Wait, don't put that in shape.
I'll come sick, I don't care. I don't want to miss that one.
Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
So great, thanks.
Thank you.
Favor.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks.